What's up YouTube? I'm Brandon from Tattooing 101, and today we're going to go over the biggest struggles of becoming a tattoo artist. So if you're new to tattooing and want to learn more about the tattooing process, make sure you like and subscribe down below so you keep up to date on all the new content we make each week. So let's get into the biggest struggles with tattooing. When I first started, the biggest struggles that came to me would be, first of all, learning how to draw for tattooing. That's a big stepping stone that you're going to need to cross even before you start tattooing. With my career, there was a ton of extra things that they threw in there that took me about 2 years to go through my apprenticeship. I learned how to tune a traditional machine, which took a really long time. They would tear it down and I'd have to put it completely back together multiple times throughout the week, which didn't necessarily help me out at all because nowadays everyone uses rotaries. So all of that time was pretty much wasted because I really don't use a traditional machine, nor will I ever use a traditional machine again. The biggest thing that helped me out whenever I was first starting that I hated when I was an apprentice was having to draw roses. What my mentor did was make me draw hundreds of roses each week. He'd print me out double circles on a sheet and there would be like 20 to a sheet and I would have to draw roses all day. Now, when I was doing it, I hated it. It was super annoying, super frustrating because that's all I did all day and I didn't get to do anything fun at all. You know, tattooing was what I wanted to do and I was sitting here drawing. But what that did was help me be able to build up everything as a basis to transfer into tattooing. So if you're doing a sword tattoo, if you're doing a snake tattoo, if you're doing anything out there, you know, a tiger, you could always add a rose with it to add flow to the design and make it look cool. If you kind of just do a simple design and throw it on the skin, it works with traditional, but neo-traditional, new school, realism, you want to add flow to your design. So you want to add things to a design and you could add a rose to literally anything and it'll make the design look super cool. So that was one of the biggest things that was really hard for me to learn. It took me a really long time and it was super annoying, but helped me out a ton after the fact of becoming a tattoo artist. I look back on all of those things I hated and the biggest struggles I had that actually ended up benefiting me. The next one would have been tuning a machine. I still have issues tuning traditional tattoo machines. There's so much that goes into it. You know, by far, I don't want to be a machine builder. I don't want to make traditional machines. Anytime in my life, it's just not something that I like to do. I like to pick up something and just use it and know that it's going to work every single time without having to tinker around with it and trying to figure out what's wrong. So that was one of the biggest struggles with me. Nowadays, there's rotary machines that you could kind of bypass that and not have to worry about messing around trying to be a machine builder and learning how to tune a traditional machine perfectly before a tattoo. So I definitely recommend going the rotary route. My best machine that I have is definitely the Injecta. You could change it around. I like the Cheyenne Soul Nova a lot, but you can't change the stroke on it, which sucks, so go with the Injecta. Another big point would be being able to get into a studio. So this is why I stress so much about being able to draw. Drawing and building a portfolio is what's going to get you into a tattoo studio. What I mean by that is if you show up with a ton of fake skins done in a portfolio, most of the tattoo shops around aren't going to want to reteach you things. They want a clean slate. So even if you have been practicing and you could tattoo pretty well, do a portfolio with just your designs that you've done on paper, like, you know, your flash sheets, any realism that you've done. That's going to help your chances of becoming a tattoo artist in that studio. If you're wanting to get that apprenticeship to get your license and everything involving that, that would be the best tip that I could give you, would be try not to throw any of the designs in there on fake skins unless you know 100% what you're doing, your line work's 100%, your shading's 100%, then by all means throw it in there because they're going to see that you really know what you're doing. They might have to teach you a couple things. They're trying to tweak a couple things to help you along your way. But if you're not 100%, don't worry about putting those fake skins in there because it's not going to benefit you getting a job or landing that apprenticeship that you've wanted so bad. And another big struggle for me was being able to sustain my life while going through an apprenticeship. Obviously, I did not get paid for 2 years. And everyone asks, how did you do that? It was a lot easier for me because I was super young and had the drive and, you know, the ability to stay awake for hours on end at night and not really have it affect my body. Now that I'm older, you know, I'm over 30, I can't stay up all night. So I definitely couldn't do that at this part of my career. But what I would do is go to work at the tattoo studio, do everything I needed to, and then I would have a night job that I would go and work as well. So I was pretty much spreading myself super thin, which, you know, I tried to sleep as much as physically possible, but, you know, it was really hard on the body. But sometimes you just got to do what you got to do in order to make it happen. If this is definitely what you want to do for your career, then you're going to do anything in your power to have that happen in your life. The coolest thing nowadays is online courses for tattooing. Depending on your state and everything, you could actually get licensed through learning online, which is awesome. There's just a couple things you want to look out for, which I made a video completely about with online schools. And then last but not least, I want to touch base on one of the hardest things for me to get used to, which would have been line work. Shading came naturally to me, knowing exactly where the shading needed to be because I was in art school pretty much my whole life. But when it came to line work, it was completely different than using a pencil or a Sharpie, other things like that. So it took me a really long time to try to figure out exactly what was wrong with my line work. It turned out to be the machine I was using. I bought a cheap machine off eBay. At the time, there wasn't Amazon back then, and I believed that it was tuned correctly. I tried to do it as best as I could, but it was a cheap machine, so you really can't tune them the way that you need to. So I was pretty much fighting with everything that I was using, which wasn't able to help me grow. Eventually, when I did finally get my first legit tattoo machine, which was a time machine, my tattooing went from, you know, being terrible to okay. I wasn't good at that period of time, but definitely all of my supplies and like the money putting into my supplies was really holding me back. So any advice I have for new artists would be, instead of just buying that cheap Amazon machine or that cheap eBay machine, if this is something you're 100% on, invest in that, you know, invest in courses, invest in that machine that's the best, you know, like an Injecta. All of these things are going to hold up way longer than these cheap things. And anytime you invest in yourself, what that's going to do is give a drive. You know, if you get something for free, like someone gives you a tattoo machine, you know, you're going to run that. But if you put $600 on a tattoo machine, you're going to put in the time to become better so that that machine will eventually pay for itself, right? You don't want to just have it sit around and not use it when you just paid $600 for it. So that would be my best advice. If you have the means, definitely invest in your career so that you can become exactly what you dream to be, which is a professional tattoo artist if you're watching this. So that is the key points on the biggest struggles of becoming a tattoo artist, at least for me. I'm sure everyone has different struggles out there, but I hope this was able to help you guys out. And as always, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.